And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. With me, have seen Invaders with me. So hello to everybody.
How's it going? Ready to talk about Ozark?
Oh yeah, I've been ready for this since we actually made the announcement, so I'm excited to see what we have here. I definitely wasn't, to be honest with you, I was actually surprised with the way that the opening scene was because I was actually expecting it to be in Mexico. And matter of fact, I was actually expecting maybe half the season in Mexico and then maybe transfer out back into Ozark. But with the way that they did, it was really good. With them doing like a flash forward type of deal where you wind up seeing the birds on the road, they're making some type of FBI deal, and then this, of course, when they get into the car accident, and then it flashes back over into Mexico.
All right, help me understand then, because that actually really confused me. When does that car crash take place? At the
I'm
end of
thinking,
this season?
I'm thinking this is going to happen in the middle of next season
Okay, and they just
because
showed
we
us it
didn't.
now. Okay,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's going to be foreshadowing into something that we're getting for the next season. Everything, but it
now,
was actually shocking.
yeah, but the way they filmed it, didn't you for a second think when they were cleaning themselves with the blood off themselves that it was directly after the car accident? But then it turns out that was just Helen Pierce's blood and guts all over them that they had to clean off before they went to the party. So it was a really nice way to film it for sure. Had me
Definitely.
had me scratching my head.
To be honest with you, my fiance was even confused about that scene though herself. She was, "What's going on here?" I was like, "This is probably something that's going to happen later on in the season. They're just teasing it and to put a wall over our eyes for a minute." But as soon as I said that, it goes back over to Mexico with Omar, and then we're introduced to his nephew. What's his
Javi.
nephew? Javi. And
Mm-hmm.
Javi reminds me of the Godfather one with Sonny, where basically he ratchets out rationally, irrationally actually, and bases basically he's very emotional in a sense where he bases his senses on emotions rather than strategy. And
Yeah.
that's where Omar's at with him as well. He's like, you got to be patient. You have to set things up before you go in and do something. You can't just automatically pull the trigger.
Yeah,
Everything.
and that's actually something that we predicted in the show a few days ago because we were like they always have a new character that just steals the show sometimes. There was Roy Petty, then there was Ben, and now this season with Javi and Mel Saddam with the PI. So
Right.
they always find a way to bring a new character in that's like a major player in how things go down for that specific season. So we were looking for somebody new to come, and we got two people. So that was cool.
That was really cool. And matter of fact, I thought that we would actually have maybe one of the new characters killed off or something like that because they're good about killing off. They introduce new characters, but then they killed them off. And I was thinking
Right.
that maybe one of them would get killed off, but not Javi though. Javi's too important for the plot points. I was thinking maybe that something would happen to the PI, maybe blackmail, maybe getting him off of the birds' asses a little bit and everything too. I was also going towards that little bit of a prediction and everything too, but I liked the direction it went in. I didn't feel
Yeah.
like anything about this season was wasted. Everything was perfectly well executed to the point where most of our predictions came true on some of the
Yeah.
things, just in a
Yeah.
different way that we predicted.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, Javi, he's definitely set up to be the big bad for the finale of the series, and I think they casted it like perfectly because he's scary, and for the amount of scary characters that are actually in this show, he does bring a different weight that he doesn't care. Like, I
Oh,
mean, spoilers are okay, right?
yeah, this is actually a spoiler review that we're doing.
Yeah. So I mean, he killed Wyatt with no hesitation. Wyatt was
No,
just a young little kid. But speaking of, we got some things right but wrong with how they happened. So, excuse me, I'm forgetting her name. Darlene.
Darlene. Yep.
So Darlene, she did have a badass season. She killed a couple people, and she has a really quick trigger finger. But the way she went out, it was kind of like Omar from The Wire. Like she just died. She had
Right.
no chance. you know?
And to be honest with you, that was the best way to end her, though, because usually she
Yeah.
has time to prepare, right? Usually is always the person going into her house. She's already, let's say, for instance, she's making dinner or something. Oh, I'll be right back. I gotta go and get something. Of course, it's her famous shotgun that she shot her husband with, and then shoots
Mhm.
everybody else with that crosses her. She didn't have time to do that this time. Javi comes in with like a blind side and just blindsides her and shoots her, and then
Yeah.
he apologizes to the kid and then shoots Hoyt though shoots him too and walks
Yeah,
out the door
Wyatt.
like nothing. Yeah, Wyatt,
Yeah.
and that left a big shock on me, to be honest
Yeah,
with you.
dude. That's that scene, and it all comes full circle, right? Because in the beginning, the cartel was like, "Yo, tell her to stop making heroin. It's not going to end well." And they told her that. They were like, "Look,
Right.
these guys, they're not going to play around. If you don't stop, they're going to do something about it." And that was true. He killed both of them in no hesitation in Javi whatsoever. Javi's scary, man.
He's
I mean,
unpredictable.
he is. He is very unpredictable. And now with everything with the FBI deal that he knows about, which saved Marty Bird's life, do you think Omar dies before Javi then?
Okay, so here's the thing that I was seeing it play out whenever they were doing the deals. I think Javi doesn't even know that there was a deal with Omar. And I don't think that Omar signed the deal yet because he looks at it and then he just leaves it on the table for us to either decide if he signed it or not. Because he
Yeah.
could have just thrown it away. But what I'm thinking is, as sneaky as the FBI is with them, he signs the deal. They both go back to Mexico. They're both thinking that they're in charge when they're not in charge. It's about canceling each other out. Which one's going to be the alpha in this whole entire operation? And
Yeah.
who's going to be the one who winds up taking over? Is it going to be
Mm-hmm.
Omar or is it going to be his nephew? And his nephew's going to go to war with, and it's going to be a split between the operation, I believe, in the next season, where you have a division. You're going to have Omar's crew probably go with Jaffe. Some of the people who are faithful to Omar keeps with them. I'm thinking it's going to be very divided. It's going to be like a Game of Thrones kind of style in a Ozark kind of feel, where who's going to get the throne of the cartel? Who's going to be in charge of it? Who's going to be running it?
Oh man, they did a great job setting up the part two, the end of the series, because like the stakes are as high as ever. You know, the Mel Sadam's still looking for he's I keep forgetting her name, the lawyer.
Oh,
He's still
Helen.
looking. Helen, yeah, Helen Pierce. He's still looking for Helen. He kind of knows she's dead. Like he was leading that on. He's like, I don't really care if I need a body or a signature. That's all I
A
need.
body is just as
But
good as
they're
a signature. I'm ready to.
right.
Right.
But I think he's gonna get himself killed because he reminds me way too much of Roy Petty, where he's obsessed and he's a workaholic and he's just gonna keep digging, and I could see Javi just killing him. Be like,
I can
enough
see
of
that
this
too.
guy. Enough of this guy.
Because
Get out of here.
think of it like this: he shot the sheriff that
Yeah.
was linked to Darlene, which is that was on his strike list as soon as the opening season happened. I'm gonna get rid of the heroin stuff because that is not something I want to be a part of. That's not something the cartels want to be a part of. And so he gets rid of the sheriff that was covering for Darlene. Then you wind up seeing this shift where maybe it could actually lead into the fact with the PI being killed by Javi because of the fact that he's getting too close to it with Helen being obsessed with it to the point where he has to kill him.
Right.
Because he's getting too close with it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot more to be done to clean up. Like if they in Javi's mind, if he wants to have a successful operation in the Ozarks, there's a lot of cleaning up to do, and a lot more bodies need to fall, including some more major characters. The plot point I'm most excited about for part two is gotta be Ruth and Frank Jr. because they hated each other. They
Right.
hated each other. And now it's at the point where when Frank Cosgrove Jr. got the call and she's calling, like, why'd you have to kill Wyatt? And he's like, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. The look on his face was like, she's in trouble. I'm going to go help her out.
Right.
That's what I got. That's what I got from it. So I think they're ultimately going to team up, and hopefully Frank Jr. saves Ruth, because Ruth going after Javi alone,
It's a big mistake.
Ruth, she's a badass, but that's a no-no. He's got guards. He's got the cartel behind him. You can't do that alone. But Frank Cosgrove, he's got the KC mob. His dad is dead due to Darlene, which was a crazy scene. So he does have the KC mob behind him. He can get the soldiers in place if needed. And maybe he's the one that ends up ultimately taking things over, and the cartel could get wiped out. Like, if Omar truly wants to retire and Javi's dead, I mean, of course, there'll always be somebody else that comes up. But in terms of the Ozark world, it could be Frank Cosgrove Jr. who ends up on top. And it's funny because when we first met him, he was a complete jerk, asshole.
Right, he was a doucheball.
Yeah, he was like a nothing character. But now he's had a bit of a humbling experience, and his interactions with Ruth this season were like some of my favorite moments to watch, because of how sincere he was with her. And he was gonna kill Darlene for her, and then when she said don't do it, he was like, okay. And then when he heard that Wyatt died, he was distraught. He was upset. So I think he's really gonna go help her.
I think so too. And also too, the way the mafia works is the son is always the one who takes over once the father dies. So
Yeah.
KC mob, same standard, same thing. He's in charge. It would make more sense for Ruth to go on ahead, check herself. I know she's pissed off. I know she's hurt. I don't blame the girl. But she needs to pull over, check herself for a minute, and figure out, is it better if I go alone and face Javi, or is it better for me to go where the KC mob is and get some help, have an army with me, rather than go in it alone? And
Yeah.
Ruth is smart. She'll I think that she's gonna get Frank Jr. on there. I think that they're gonna go after Javi. It's gonna be a cartel versus KC Mafia in the States. And there's gonna be a war as well with the other thing going on in Mexico. I think there's gonna be two different wars going on at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. Then let me ask you this. What do you think is more likely, that Ruth cools off and goes to him, or Frank finds her before she gets too far and was like, come here, let's talk about this. Let's figure it out. What's more likely? Who finds who first?
I think Frank will reach out to Ruth first, because I'm thinking to myself too, as this is being played out, I'm like, how do you find Javi? Javi's all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know where he's at. He's unpredictable. He could be in your truck, for example, and you don't even know it. I'm not saying that he's in there or anything like that, but he's an unpredictable character. I'd much rather do business with Omar, to be honest with you. He's a little bit more level-headed and a little bit to where, Marty hung up on him, but at least you can make some type of deal in the middle, in a sense. He knows where he stands on people. With Javi, though, it's pretty much, I want to kill you and that's it. And don't even ask questions later. And with Ruth, I can definitely see Frank reaching out to her first, saying, come here, let's talk about this. I have men on my side. You don't have anything but a shotgun and a truck. You need people on your side. So let's come out with some negotiations here. Let's go down the middle. And I wouldn't be surprised if he also splits certain territories with her at the end, if she comes out of this alive.
I sure hope she does, man. I sure hope she does. We recently talked about it on our newest episode of the podcast. And
I actually listened to that.
Oh, did you? So we were thinking about, what a spinoff could be. And in my mind, the only spinoff I would want to see is Ruth. That's it. If it's not her, I don't want to see it. I mean, the Jason Bateman storyline before he gets, like, when he's in Chicago, I don't really need to see that, because season 1 kind of explained all that, in my opinion. But I would love to see where Ruth goes and what she does. So hopefully she survives. And I really hope Frank Cosgrove survives too. If you want to do some death predictions, I'm all for it, man. But I think they're the duo that are going to team up. Jonah, don't know where his head's at, because now his new boss is dead. His parents were right. You're not safe when Darlene's involved. And Javi got the jump.
She was also another. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
but she's also another unpredictable character as well. You didn't know where she was going either.
Yeah.
Things. He was quick to
Yeah.
pull the trigger as well. So yeah, his parents had every right to be scared for him.
Right. And the fact that Javi got to jump on her speaks volumes, because we've seen Darlene take out major players with zero hesitation. She has the quickest trigger finger ever. Like, you say the wrong thing, you're dead. But Javi got to jump on her, and she had zero chance to fight back. Zero. So now I'm really worried. Is he gonna go after Jonah now because he was involved in her operation? You know, obviously Ruth is in danger. We were just talking about that. But in terms of the birds and the birds' children, I wonder who's more in danger at this point.
Okay, so let's go back with the whole prequel story and stuff like that for a minute too, and then I'll cover the other thing. As far as a prequel story goes and things like that, I don't see that happening. I see that as a foreshadowing of Marty being dead. I see it as a foreshadowing. Anytime that they show a flashback scene, something to link us to the first episodes or anything like that, that tells me probably that he's going to wind up dead in part 2 somehow.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I don't think there's a chance that Marty survives. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
It just doesn't add up to all the shit he's gotten his family into. So many close calls. I mean, how many times have the cartel almost killed him themselves? He's been in so many close calls that he's gotten out of scot-free. But I'll tell you what, I don't know who in his family is going to survive. I got a feeling Wendy will. What about you?
Wendy, I could see coming out on top. I can see her daughter coming out. Okay. Now,
Okay,
as far
so
as son, yeah, as far as son goes and everything, he was doing finances for Darlene, stuff like
yeah,
that for Ruth, who was actually under Darlene. There, and also too, another thing I want to mention too. Anytime that a member of the mob or a member of the cartels or anything like that has major beef with somebody else, the family's not safe. The whole family's not
right,
safe.
right.
It's And to be honest with you, it could be the whole family dying at the end of the season. But
Yeah, if the whole family dies, I feel like that's the only way Marty survives, where he loses everything. But one of my co-hosts had a theory that, and now it's kind of resonating in my mind, like it could happen that Charlotte's going to be the one to die because she's the innocent, and Javi could kill her to send the message, and then that could lead up to Marty, Frank Cosgrove Jr., the Casey mob, and Ruth all going after the cartel to try to kill Javi at the end. But if Charlotte died, that would be very emotional because she is the true innocent. I mean, she knows about everything. She's not exactly quote unquote innocent, but has she killed anyone? Has she done anything that's been too bad? No. So her dying, that would be a gut punch, a true gut punch,
that's
and
true.
it would be nuts. So he predicted that she would die, and I'm like, hey man, I don't know. And his also, I like the theory that Jonah will be the one, kind of like Bran in Game of Thrones, the one who ends up taking over at the ripe age of 14 years old.
That actually makes sense though with him taking over. To be honest with you,
It does.
because he is people might consider him maybe the weakest link or whatever and stuff like that, but he's doing finances, he's doing money laundering, he knows how to he made a whole system on his own without his dad's system, and it's 10 times better. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't be to be honest with you, I could see him probably going out and making a deal with Javi, saying, look, I'll do all your money laundering business, I'll stay here in the Ozark, everything, and I'll do whatever you need me to do. That's how I see it maybe playing out. But yeah, definitely his sister has an innocence about her. All she does is basically like little peddle work. For example, with the security thing over inside the casino for her dad when
Right.
Ruth came, she does like little small secretary kind of work and doesn't really do anything. in
Right. And like works at the legitimate casino that is technically legitimate, even though they launder money through it. But that would be a hard scene to watch, to be honest with you. And I wouldn't put it past Ozark to pull a death like that. Do you know how many episodes it'll be? Probably around 7 again, if we had to guess.
Probably around 7, but maybe around 5.
Yeah, it
Like,
could be even shorter. You're right. Yeah.
because don't
So
forget, Sopranos did the same thing. They broke it up into 2
yeah,
parts.
yeah. Breaking Bad did too. They did 8 and 8 for season 5. It was 5A and 5B. I don't know why shows tend to do that for the final season, but hey, whatever works and for them. But so yeah, we thought that Charlotte could get killed, and if she does get killed, it'll be quite early. So maybe we'll see the car flip scene in the beginning of part 2, and then she's like getting better or something like that, and then Javi just takes her out to send the message because he doesn't care about killing kids. He doesn't. And maybe he'll be looking for Marty and he's not there, so he'll just kill her. But it now it's just in my head of the weight that death would hold, that it could happen, because this is Ozark we're talking about, and there's so many there's so many of those types of moments in this show every season. So it's really got me thinking that she might die.
Thinking
For
that too,
real.
though. To be honest with you, I mean, anybody could die at a given moment on this show. To be honest with you. And I
Yeah.
like the fact that we have that emotional attachment to every character. But I could see her probably being bruised up in the hospital. Maybe Javi takes her out in the hospital. Maybe something like that
Yeah.
winds up
Right.
happening. Because
Right.
at that point,
And
she can't run. She's in the hospital, maybe in a coma, maybe something that we don't know about. And he takes her
mhm.
out. Marty's probably banged up to the point where he can't get around. We'll have the
Yeah.
birds injured, and it's easy pickings now because they're injured. And you also
Yeah.
have Jonah with them too. So that's another thing. You have Jonah with them, then you also have their daughter with them, and the whole family's together.
Right. And that's a great point about the car accident. We don't know the extent of their injuries. We have no idea because it technically hasn't happened yet in the show. I mean, it happened, but we haven't seen the outcome of it. We don't know how it was a bad accident. Like, we don't know how bad shape they're in. So they all could be in the hospital or some reason. And the reason why he might kill Charlotte and not Jonah is because maybe he knows Jonah made the system and he has value. And the only reason that you can survive in the cartel's eyes is if you have some type of value that they can use.
Well, I'm going to get that in a minute too. Brandy says, I won't be surprised if Ruth gets killed. We kind of touched on that a little bit, but I'll just give a little bit of a refresher for a second. Yeah, we did say that we thought that she would actually team up with the KC Mafia, and then she would join forces with them to where her and Javi, where they wind up taking Javi down. That was our prediction for next season. But back to what you were saying, because I want to cover this. Because remember, Marty was on the way to die in season 1, right?
Yeah.
And this is and get this. This is speaking to what you were saying. If the cartel don't have a reason to keep you alive or anything like that, they're going to kill you. Marty was scrambling to find a way to live, and he finds out finding the pamphlet for the Ozark, and that's where we want. That's where we're at. And
more
the sun
coastline.
is right.
The whole
And the
line
sun
you
could
use.
be doing right.
Yeah.
And the son could be doing the same thing, where he has to try and find a way out of the situation and make it better for him to where he survives. It's like how his father had to survive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I think that interaction might have to happen before Charlotte's dead, or at least before he knows Charlotte's dead. Because if Charlotte's dead, he's kind of got a craziness to him too. We've seen him hold a shotgun to Helen Pierce before. So I feel like if he knows Charlotte's dead, he won't be able to make that deal. So maybe that'll happen first, and then we'll see Charlotte get killed. maybe something doesn't go right, something Javi's not liking. And I'm still not sure with Omar and Agent Maya of how that relationship's going to play out. Do you think Agent Maya is in any danger?
Maya's to be honest with you, Maya's in trouble. She may think
Yeah,
that she does the right thing, but she's not in trouble with Javi. She's in trouble with Omar. So
yeah,
if Omar survives, Maya is dead. Maya's axed off the list completely.
yeah.
Now, but that's if Omar survives. That's only if.
Okay.
Javi doesn't know anything about Maya, I don't think, other than I don't know. I don't remember him mentioning Maya at all in the season. That's just me because of how long it's been. But I don't see Javi going after her. I see Omar going after her because of the stuff that hey, there was a deal that was supposed to be made in that mall. That deal wound up being broken, and they backstabbed Omar. That's going to be blood on her hands.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that she did. She may think that she's doing good, but no.
I could be wrong, but I think the only thing that Javi knows about is because uh, Wendy convinced Omar to call Javi and tell him about the deal so that Marty would live. And that was like the fourth time Marty's on his knees with a gun pointed to his face that we've seen, and he gets out of it again. So yeah, she's in trouble, man. But I kind of think that Javi might kill Omar before Omar gets a chance to kill Agent Maya, because the whole season Omar was paranoid about his nephew. And that's one of the big reasons why he wanted out. He's like, I don't have to get worried about getting assassinated, getting arrested. Assassinated by who? And he's like, my nephew. And it's just like he truly believes that Javi will kill him given the chance. And he will.
Exactly.
And he definitely will. So, man, this show, the writing is so good and the casting is so good. Just, it's amazing.
And every character serves a purpose. It's not there just to be there, you know what I mean? But Crichton Films asks, Marty was right about everything. Perhaps they will return to Marty's doomed plan to flee after all. Here's the thing. You can flee, but you can't flee from the cartel. And also, too, you can't flee from the FBI either. And it looked like they were about to make a deal with the FBI to flee, but then they got into that car accident. And then now it looks like maybe all bets might be off because now they're sustaining an injury probably to the point where they can't meet up with the FBI and get that protective custody they wanted and to go back into Chicago. Because if they go on ahead, they're going to be under protective custody, not only protective custody, but you're also looking into witness protection programs where they're no longer going to be the birds. And they're not going to be able to go to Chicago or anything either.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That I think you might be right. I think that was probably what was happening during that car scene. They were probably on the way to make a deal with the FBI to just run to get out of there. Probably once they found out about Darlene and Wyatt getting killed. Now, what do you think about Helen Pierce's daughter? Her storyline this season was strange to say the least. What's
I think it
up
was
with her?
I think all it was just trying to find out where her mother is, which is understandable because she wants to know what happened to her mother, and she wants to know where she's at, which I'm totally fine with. I thought that she was pretty much just like a side character this season
Yeah,
of just that mystery element of where's Helen and
yeah.
everything,
Now
and she
Charlotte told
knows the
her
birds know.
what happened,
Right,
right?
right,
Yeah.
right. She does.
So maybe that knowledge that she knows, maybe Mel Saddam, oh, he's gonna get to her, figure something out, bring that knowledge to someone like Javi, and that's how he'll end up dead. I'm telling you, that guy's going out. That guy's going out hard. He's too obsessed, and you cannot be too obsessed in Ozark. You end up dead. You got to play it cool. That's the only way to survive. Play it cool and have value. That's the way you survive in this show so far,
It's like
anyway.
playing a chess game. It's like playing a
Yeah,
chess game, trying to figure out the best strategy for you, what worked for you, and how to be alive in the Ozark. Otherwise, you're going to wind up 6 feet under.
yeah,
But Another thing too is, what did you think about the whole Ben situation where, you have the family who's dealing with Ben, with the tragic loss of Ben, because like I said before, they don't know exactly what happened to Ben or anything like that. We're gonna be seeing the family trying to get over it, but then you also have Darlene who puts up all these posters of him, and now it's like, well, shit, what do I do now?
Yeah. And then Wendy tried to use that to her advantage and called her and thanked her for it. And I like their bickering back and forth. But yeah, the Ben storyline, there are some theories, which I do not believe at all, that he's actually still alive. I don't buy that for 1 minute, uh, especially because how distraught Wendy was. Now, she could have just been distraught because she thinks he's dead, because we didn't actually see him die, but the mobster showing up and everything and the ashes, it just, he's dead in my opinion. Like,
He's dead.
if yeah, he's dead. So, but that whole thing with Ruth getting in the ashes, with Wendy being pissed about it, and then everyone kept throwing it back in her face, especially Ruth and Jonah were like, "Well, you killed him. You killed your brother." And then I love the line where Jonah says to Charlotte, "Would you kill me?" And she goes, "That's different." And then later on, we find out all he wanted to hear was, "Of course, I'd never kill you. You're my brother." So he's just bringing up how messed up it is that she ultimately had her brother killed, and it's it's a tough situation, and that was fueling Ruth this whole season, and it fueled Jonah as well to go end up working for Ruth. So I found that storyline. I loved Ben, man. He was such a great character, and we still got more storylines out of Ben, even though he's gone. So
Right.
I really enjoyed that part of the season.
Same here. It's like his presence is not here, but we're gonna find a way to let this, all the repercussions that Ben's done in like the last season. We're gonna get that flushed out in this season too, as well. We're gonna
Right.
get this flushed out, and man, they do a good job with it. Even going as far as the PI investigating Wendy's father, which I would never
Yeah.
have thought that we would actually get a little bit of a backstory on the father, a little bit, the separation between him and Wendy. I thought that was really good
Now, why did Wendy lie about the drug use that Ben was doing? Because
because to
for her rehab centers?
yeah, for her rehab centers, because it helps cells. Because think of it
Yeah.
like this: that woman was about to say no to her, and I told my fiance this too. I said, "Oh my God, she's doing the Ruth card." That's what I call it, the Ruth card, where she bought the hotel, where she's like, "I just want to see everybody coming into this hotel and have an establishment where people can go to, because this is the place that I would want my kids if I had kids." And then you see Wendy doing the same thing that she's doing. It's
Yeah.
like, and pulling the tears just like Ruth did. And I'm like, this is very foreshadowing of what Ruth did. And it's like, well, if it wasn't for my brother Ben having a drug addiction, I just wanted the pharmaceutical companies to be there for me through this hard time. And I figured this would be a great way to remember my brother and his name. I'm like, this is just like Ruth. And I'm like, is she going to go along with this? Is this woman really going to go on ahead and give her tough love? Or is she going to go on ahead and sign some paperwork? And
Yeah.
she was hesitant at first. And then she winds up signing the papers.
Yeah. And another aspect to their great writing that does come into play, because like you say, Mel Saddam, the PI, goes and finds out that that's a lie. He wasn't a drug addict. He did have bipolar, and he wasn't on his meds, which you should be on your meds if you have bipolar. And so he was acting erratically, but the drug thing was a lie. So that's when Mel puts together, hey, she lied about that. He's missing. So is Helen. So then he had that whole theory that Ben killed Helen, and they're hiding it, they're covering it up for him, and he's hiding, and he's got friends in Knoxville. He was like, I'll go talk to them, and that's obviously going to lead nowhere. But that that writing was perfect because it gave us another. It gave the PI a reason to distrust the bird's word. and now he's going to go looking elsewhere for more info. And I really think he'll end up talking to Helen's daughter. I think he will, and I think she could break and tell the story. I mean, why wouldn't he talk to her? He's trying to finalize the divorce between her parents, so
To bring
maybe he'll
closure
go
to him.
right. So maybe he'll go talk to her and she'll break and she'll tell the truth. And since this guy's a psycho, he won't take it to authorities. He'll try to like break the case on his own, and it's going to end up getting him killed. And
Right. And
that
this
would be
also
nuts.
might be a chance for him to be back on the police force, though, too. He's probably thinking, I can be like the Lone Ranger. I can go ahead, do this big case, and seal the deal and get back where I once was, because he was stealing evidence and cocaine out of evidence lockers and everything. And that's what
Right.
got him kicked off the force to begin with. And this is his ticket back in.
Yeah.
He's not only is he unpredictable, not only is he also obsessed, but he's also in desperate need. He's desperation, and his hour of desperation is whenever he's going to wind up. It's going to wind up costing his life.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's going to go out big time. Kind of like Roy Petty. They remind me of each other so much. They really do.
Crime Hobbs films. He says the show almost seems like out with the old and in with the new. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And
I
another thing I want to
mean,
mention is, oh, sorry, go on ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I was just to the point earlier. There's always a new character that comes and then they get killed, and they somehow find a way to be a great character no matter how long they're in the series for. But what were you going to say?
But back with Omar and his nephew Javi, how much over and under do you think that he's going to kill him as soon as he gets out of prison? Javi's probably going to find out that he gets out of prison. That's also another thing I'm going with. He doesn't even make it to Mexico.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. I think Omar will die very early in part 2. It could be the first episode because Javi is clearly the big bad that they're going to have to deal with at the end, and that'll go on to the final episode. So I think you're right. I think Omar's days are very numbered because once he got that deal he'll be allowed to go back to Mexico, he'll get killed right in Mexico, or maybe before he even gets there.
Not only that, but he also punched Javi, which shows disrespect to Javi, which also calls for retaliation against Omar even more. Also, to choosing the birds over him and his own instincts as well. That's a big no-no for Javi as well. So you
Yeah.
have a beef war between Omar and him for that. But also too, Darlene and Wendy, that whole scene when she has the heart attack and Wendy's over there just watching her. I'm like, is this it? Is this how she goes out? Then all of a sudden, the next episode, Darlene's inside the hospital bed. I'm like, nope. Like we said, she's a tough woman. She's a tough SOB who doesn't take no crap from anybody. And, for her to go out in a heart attack, that's not her style. That wouldn't be her.
But it was foreshadowing. She was shot in the heart.
Right. Very much so.
Yeah. Man, that I can't get that scene out of my head. That was the one that was the one you had to go and rewind and watch again. Like the moment they walk in, Javi has the gun, Javi's in control, sit down, very calm about everything. It was like, I told you to stop doing the heroin business. Boom. And I was just like, wow. And she's been being built up from season 1 as just this lunatic that you don't mess with. So that puts Javi on an even higher level of danger of how serious he is. And he'll kill anyone.
Exactly. But she's been warned 3 times from him. So he did leave her. This is where credibility is with Javi, though, for me. He told her about 3 or 4 times throughout this whole entire season. It was her own fault that she didn't listen. She thought she knew it. Because she took out one of the cartel leaders in the very first season, which I was not expecting. So she thought that she was in control of the situation. She's like, I already wasted one cartel guy, one cartel a million. I'll go on ahead and kill this guy too. But that's the way you kill Darlene, is you go over there while she's out. And then while she's out, go on ahead, get her inside, sit her down on the couch so that way she doesn't go in the back to go get her shotgun. Because remember, she said, "Oh, I gotta go get." No, you're gonna sit down on the couch. And
Yep.
then that's when he winds up killing her and winds up killing Wyatt. And of course, too, I have to say this with Ruth. She was even telling Wyatt, "Look, you need to leave. Darlene is bad for you. Come with me. We have enough money to get out of this thing." And it looked like that he was going to get out of it, and then Darlene pulls him back in with this tears and everything. And I think he was going to end it. I really do. I don't think the kid was going to play this time.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, he was just in love with the psycho, he just had to go back to her because, obviously he wasn't there. He's still alive. And he had a couple chances to leave this year because he was frazzled when she killed that cartel member and when they had to go bury him. He didn't like that. He was like, what just happened? And that guy, he didn't really do anything. He was like, I didn't know I had a lot of cops. And that's all he had to say for her to kill him. And that's with her quick trigger finger. And I didn't even notice she was holding the shotgun before she lifted it up to kill that guy. It's
so fast.
It was so cool. Yeah, it was so fast. So you're exactly right. That's the only way to kill Darlene the way Javi did it. That's the only way that you can.
Right. And now another thing too is with of course with Ruth's cousin and everything too, Wyatt. He had to bury about 2 bodies with from Darlene. At first, it kind of freaked them out. Then it came to be like how her husband did everything and buried bodies.
Yeah.
To the point where he kind of put a veil over his eyes. Okay, so this is going to be the life that I have to be with her. Happy to be away from that trailer park. Okay, I'll do it.
Right. Man, poor kid. My wife was really sad. She was like, no, I can't believe they had to kill him too. And I'm like, if you get wrapped up with Darlene, that's going to happen eventually. It's going to happen eventually. So luckily Ruth wasn't there, man. I'm so nervous for her for the final part of the season of the series. I really am. Everything we talked about and more, because I just love her so much, man. She is a great character. And Julia Garner, man, I'll be following her career from now on. She's she's great, man. Just that accent, like that's not even a real accent. She crushes it, dude. She crushes it. Every scene she steals it. Love it.
She's a tough character. She's a tough actress. She's going to be one of those actresses that we're going to be speaking of for millions of years, I believe.
Yeah.
With the way things are. Yeah. Brandy did say this, and Ryan Hobbs has something too. She says, I have to say Ruth is probably her favorite character at this point. Yep, mine too.
Me too.
Then Crichton says, I wonder how the baby Zeke is going to play in the future episodes.
Ooh. Tough one. Well, Wendy was trying to get that baby for a while now. So maybe Wendy gets her. And if the thing we're talking about that Charlotte dies, that could be her daughter. I'm not like saying it could be like, another kid to have. I'm not saying it would replace Charlotte, but maybe it would help.
Redeem her a little bit to some stability to where she doesn't do anything like this again, to settle her down a little bit. Because at first Wendy wasn't wanting to do this, and all of a sudden she just got wrapped into the politics of it. She got wrapped up into everything to the point where she's basically the queen of money laundering.
Yeah.
And politics.
She's good, man. She's good. I love Laura Linney in the show, and some people complain about her. I don't get it. I mean, did you watch all of Breaking Bad?
Yeah, I watched that all the seasons of Breaking Bad.
So when people complained about Skylar, I understood that, because she was always like that. Like she was always complaining about something. Obviously, Walter was always lying to her, so she had a right to complain. But in terms of, quote unquote, people being annoyed by a character, I'm not annoyed by Wendy, like, ever.
Me either.
I love her performance.
But to me, if you have a problem with the character or anything like that, that just goes to show you how good the character actually is,
Right. Yeah.
how
Yeah.
menacing she is. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's why I like her.
She's so smart, and she is calm and collected. That's why I believe she will make it out. She will not die, because she always finds a way to stay calm. But sadly, we've seen Marty foreshadowed being killed far too many times for him to make it out of this show. I just don't see it happening.
Either. And he's always getting the crap beat out of him between Omar, every single
Yeah,
cartel, first season. You can all just like watching. I don't know if you saw the season finale of Dexter or New Blood or anything like that.
not yet. I'm close
Yeah.
to it though.
Okay, I'm not gonna spoil anything for you, but I'm just gonna go with a different reference to another show, and I forgot the name of it. But you can only dig yourself out of enough holes to the point where you're either go to prison or you wind up dying by the hands of someone.
Yeah,
That's the
mean,
only two options.
yeah. Even going back to Walter White, like,
Yeah,
he was foreshadowed that he was going to die the whole time because he had a death sentence in cancer. So it was kind of like the timeline of his cancer, and then he ended up getting shot and bled out and died alone. But that's the same type of thing. Like, Marty's been foreshadowed being killed too many times for it to not happen. It's going to be insane. I think that'll be the very final episode, though. I think it'll all boil down. We'll lose a couple characters before the finale, but it'll all boil down to Ruth, Frank Jr., the KC Mob, the cartel, Helen, and Marty. I don't know if both kids will be alive at that point. I don't. But everybody else, I do.
I could see maybe not the last episode for Marty, maybe the next to last episode for Marty dying.
Could happen.
And then it's about not Helen, but Wendy trying to figure out a way to survive without her husband. And not only that, but also too to mourn over Marty and try to figure out how he got out of certain situations.
Yeah.
Reflect back on those situations that we saw.
Man, it's so funny how big of a jerk Frank Cosgrove Jr. was, and how big of an asset he's going to have to be to help.
He redeemed himself for me.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Yeah, he's been humbled. He's been truly humbled. And he's going to really have to help them out, like, big time. He's going to have to get some big guns. They're going to have a plan. They're going to have to really think this out, because Javi has to go. Javi cannot, if Javi's alive, no one is safe. No one.
No one is safe. Like we said before, Javi is way too unpredictable. I'd rather do business with Omar. Even though Omar scares the hell out of me. But like I said before, Marty hung up on him.
Yeah.
That's what made me laugh. He's like, "Don't you hang up on me, Marty." Next thing you know it, he hangs up on him. I'm like, dude. He's like, "Look, I had enough of you. I'm just gonna do my thing. You just believe in having good faith, and I'm gonna end up helping you." And Marty didn't want to hear anymore. "Do not hang up on me, Marty." Boom. Hangs up on him.
Oh man.
And I'm like, that's boss. That's boss moves like that. But Omar knew where he stood with Marty, though.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
He knew he would get the job done, or try to get the job done the best way possible in the situation, which is also why he wanted to negotiate with the FBI. Even though he told him it was impossible to do the things that he wanted to do. But you have to come up with some kind of plan.
Yeah, you got to make some concessions, right? Yeah.
Exactly. And I also told my fiance this. I said, it's going to come down to the point where Omar has to go ahead and rat out Javi. Because Javi, that's the only way to get him out of Mexico to the point where Omar feels safe without him.
Yeah. I think that probably will happen, and that'll be Omar's death sentence. I think so. Because in his mind, it's like, all right, this is the only way I can get out of here. Maybe I got to do a couple years in prison, or maybe he doesn't.
But yeah, maybe a couple of years or something like that. He goes on ahead. He goes to prison a little bit. But, this show has so many layers to it, to the point where you don't know where it's going to go. You don't know the roads that that this could actually go on. This could go on so many levels, like Cena Invaders and I said too. And it's about the direction that they want to go in. It's about also too how do they want to set it up for next season. This is just like playing a chess game, like I mentioned before. It also has a little bit of Sons of Anarchy, a little bit mixed in with some of that as well. And also too, I feel like no one is safe or anything like that in the season. And I think that this season is very well constructed. It knew what it wanted to be and everything. And I think that this is actually the right way to go about it. And I'm actually messaging Senior Readers right now. He's going to be coming back in a minute. But like I said, I think that this is actually one of the best seasons that I've seen of Ozark in a while. Even though I love the whole entire season of Ozark, none of the characters were wasted in any way, shape, or form. I think that this is a perfect season for part one. Part two, once I see how it wraps up, then I can actually say that Ozark had a perfect season or not. Right now, they're on a roll. They've been hitting home runs out of the park like no tomorrow. Um, but yeah, I think that another thing too that I want to mention as well, that whenever it comes down to Ben and stuff like that, I think Ben is dead, like Cena Bader said as well. Um, and of course, Ruth carrying around the vase of ashes and things like that. I just felt bad for her, especially when she confronts Wendy about it. You killed your own brother, and now I have his ashes. And Wendy's complaining about the fact that she has his ashes. Ruth cared more about Ben than Wendy ever did. And even though Wendy says, "Oh, Ben never really cared about you. He was just going to go on ahead and move off to the next thing." Well, then I like how Ruth comes back on her and turns around and says, "Well, what do you mean? What do you? He didn't even have a chance to even. I didn't even have a chance to know if he was going to move on to the next thing or not when you killed him. When you had someone to kill him." And that's what ended up happening. She winds up killing Wendy winds up killing Ben. Then you also have the whole entire retaliation with the division among the family, with of course the brother of the birds and everything too, where you wind up seeing the young brother wanting to go his own separate ways and everything too. And you can't really blame him. His uncle Ben is dead, no pun intended to Spider-Man or anything like that, but his uncle Ben is dead, someone he was close to, and here he is. And this is what winds up happening: is she took him away from him, and I don't blame the kid at all. So, anyways, that's gonna be it as far as the show goes and stuff like that. We ran into some tech problems at the end, but it was a pleasure to have Scene Invaders on the show and stuff like that. Go on ahead, give them a follow. You can actually listen to them on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever you guys get your major podcasts from, and things like that. So I strongly recommend it. They also did a good job at predicting certain things with Ozark for the next season for part two. Another thing too is if you guys want to go ahead and follow me, just go on ahead and follow me underneath Movie Lovers TV Lovers Night on Facebook, underneath the same brand name on Instagram and Pinterest as well. And Scene Invaders is back. Hey,
No,
so
sorry about that.
no, it's okay, man. But no, do you want to go on ahead do your tags since a little bit of tech problems, or do you want to talk about Ozark a little bit more?
I mean, do you have any last thoughts on Ozark?
I was just talking a little bit more about Ben's ashes, the division with the family, and I don't blame the little brother wanting to go his own separate ways and stuff like that, as to going and working for Darlene and Ruth. And
Okay.
then after that, yeah. So that's pretty much where I left off at.
Well, I'll just make my final predictions written in stone. Ruth survives. Frank Cosgrove Jr. surprisingly survives. I think he will be the one to take things over with Ruth in the end. I think they'll have a partnership, and it's a great chemistry because of how much they hated each other, and now they have mutual respect. I will say Charlotte dies, Marty dies, Wendy lives, Jonah lives, Pi dies, Javi dies, and Omar dies. They are my final predictions.
Okay. So I'm gonna go on ahead and say this. Omar dies, Javi winds up living.
Oh,
I have him living. I have Jonah working for him. I have the daughter dying, Marty dying, and Wendy living.
okay. What about the PI?
PI's dead.
Yeah,
Dead within
yeah,
the
he's dead.
second or third episode. He's dead. There
Yeah,
ain't no two ways about it.
yeah,
We can't get away with anything with Javi either.
yeah, yeah. I totally agree. It's gonna be nuts, and he thinks he's smarter than he is, which he is. He's good at his job. You can tell he's good at his job. But maybe I shouldn't say smarter. Like I don't think he realizes how deep he's in now with the information he's starting to piece together, and he is going to get himself killed brutally, pretty quickly, I believe too.
I think
So
so too.
we'll see which ones work out, man. This was fun.
Definitely.
Yo, I love the show, dude. One of the best shows on TV. It's a shame it's gonna have to come to an end, but guess what? The best shows know when to end.
They're
So
doing it on top. Where, to me, Ozark doesn't have a bad season, believe it or not.
doesn't. Yeah,
It's
it might
rare
get
for a
better
TV show.
every time. Yeah, there's and like what you're about to say, there's only a couple TV shows that don't have bad seasons.
Right.
Yeah,
But yeah, like for instance, Breaking Bad, The Sopranos didn't really have a bad season either. Or anything like that.
yeah,
I really liked everything inside The Sopranos, liked everything in Sons of Anarchy, the way it ended. This has also layers of, like I said before, of Sons of Anarchy and things like that, even though that's based off of death. But this is very good. I can't wait to see part 2. It's rumored to be out in May. That's where it's rumored at right now.
Oh, that's good. That's not that bad. That's sooner than I thought. That's good.
That's just right. It's not confirmed, but it's a rumor. I heard different rumblings and stuff like that. But I'm hoping that it's May, because that way we don't have that much. So we don't have to do a lot of recaps to get caught up for it. But I do appreciate the fact that you told me about your friend that does the recaps. That actually helped with
Yeah.
me getting refreshed for this season, to be honest.
Yeah, he's good at that. At the recaps on YouTube, man. He's it's very, very tedious work, but somebody has to do it, right?
Right.
So yeah, I watch those too to get caught up, because you do forget because of how long it's been. But hopefully they film these back to back and there's no delay and they get the second half out pretty quickly.
Hope so.
I hope so.
So with that being said, where can everybody follow you at? I kind of did your tags a little bit, but you could go on here and do a little bit of a refresher.
Okay. So the podcast is called Invaders. It's available on all podcast platforms. We're really trying to work on our YouTube right now. So if you want to subscribe, that's also Invaders. We're Invaders on every social media platform. So it's pretty easy to remember. And CinvadersPodcast.com is our website where we have blogs and things like that. Little about me with all the co-hosts we have. There's about like 11 people that do things with Invaders. So it's a cool little group, and yeah, check it out. CinvadersPodcast.com.
And you guys can go ahead and follow me underneath Facebook, underneath Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite over there. Of course, underneath the same brand name on Instagram and on Pinterest as well. If you want to get an audio-only podcast episode, you can get that wherever you guys get your major podcasts from. Also, too, on Good Pods. Good Pods is where Invaders and I are actually at. You can also rate individual episodes as well. And also, too, we can also reply to you guys if you guys comment in the comments section. And, it actually helps us out in the ranking systems for other people to find us as well. So go ahead and do that. Show us some love over there as well. Another thing, too, is this. Go on ahead and, if you want to, go on ahead. Donate $5 to $10 to us if you guys want to. You don't have to if you don't want to. But if you feel generous, go ahead, go to GoFundMe.com/Movie Lovers Podcast. Donate over there. And, of course, you guys can go on ahead and we're actually teaming up with Two Blurry Girls podcast to do a Sensi charity for Children of St. Jude's Hospital. So all proceeds go over to the Children of St. Jude's Hospital. So go in and spend $5 to $10 is totally worth it for the Children of St. Jude's Hospital. Also, to smash that like button, smash that subscribe button on the bottom right-hand corner, and also smash that bell on the bottom right-hand corner as well to allow you guys to know when we have something new coming out. Then, of course, go ahead. Follow me underneath Twitter, underneath Movie Lovers Unit, and then Movie Lovers Unit 0 on TikTok. And then reach out to me if you're a sponsor or would like to be on the show. Just go ahead, email me at movieloversunite@gmail.com. And then tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, I'm going to be on the show with Alex and Charlie again. They're coming back. And then, of course, I also have William coming back from our Cobra Kai review, and we're going to be doing an Eternal spoiler review because I didn't get a chance to do a spoiler review because of the fact that with the pandemic coming out and also the lack of funds, I didn't get around to seeing Eternal. So now I'm able to appreciate that. So go on and tune in tomorrow night. Thursday night is going to be my day off. It's going to be my birthday, so I'm not doing any shows for Thursday night. And then Friday, I will be back with a whole new episode. So go on ahead, subscribe over to our podcast. Thank you again, man. It's been a pleasure and everything to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. We'll have to do this again. You're coming on Invaders for February 20th. That'll drop the 21st. I'm excited to see your Eternals reaction because in the theaters, I thought it was so, and I've watched it twice on Disney Plus, and now I love it. So I'm excited to see that. I'll be tuning in when you guys do that.
Okay, sounds great. Oh yeah, and Sunday I'm actually doing a show in the morning time at 8 o'clock a.m. because of the time differences in Europe. I'm actually interviewing an independent director that we actually did, that Tamika and I did a review on. So go on ahead, check that out at 8 o'clock Central Time in the morning time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. And yeah, just go on ahead, show us some love, and always until next time, guys. It's been real, it's been fun. Can't wait to do this again.